Um, okay, I'm Parshia. I'm from Yahoo, and I joined Yahoo last June, at the end of the June, so it's a little over 4 months now. Today I'm going to talk about traffic replay system. Um, it is basically a client system that replaced all the requests that are logged by ATS using wire trace. So I'll go into the details in a bit. I wanted to start with the beautiful fall picture of Champaign-Urbana. So this is how fall looks like in Champaign. Okay, so this is how the full system looks like. There are multiple components to this. So we have replay client, which is a client program. We have ATS in the middle, and then we have a microserver, which is basically a mock server. And microserver also replays back the responses that were logged by ATS using wire trace. For those who do not know what wire trace is, wire trace basically logs the request and response that ATS saw, and the communication on the both side, like with the client and on the origin side, and writes them in a log file. So the log file basically looks like thousands and thousands of trace blocks containing request logs, then body and responses that are coming from the origin server and that are being sent to the client. And then we have a preprocessor that extracts the session data from the wire trace log. So a session can have like multiple transactions. So the way we are doing this, like we are generating one file per session. So the number of sessions that are in the log file, and that many session files will be generated, and those are in the session in the JSON format. So I'll talk about the formatting pretty soon. The traffic replay is a multi-process, multi-threaded program written in Python, and you can specify the number of processes and the number of threads per processes to run the program. What happens is that it takes all the session data and then splits them into queues and then feeds the queues to the processes. And the processes have multiple threads running, so they take the sessions and then replay them using the request library, which is also a Python library. It supports get, post, head for now, in a sense that the data I have, they do get, post, and head. So I just extracted the session data from them. And it can do SSL. For get, post, and head, which are non-SSL requests, I can use request library for that. But when I'm doing TLS, I'm using the basic socket. What I do is I connect to the ATS directly and then send the data through TLS. The traffic replay also can do response header comparison. So when the microserver replays back the response, and finally when it gets to the client, you can do a response header comparison to see if there is any difference in the header, which shouldn't be because it is already locked. But there can be header response. There can be difference, like in kind of like there's one field called server. If you have like logs that were logged from ATS 5.3 and then you are doing a replay using 7.1, so definitely the version will be different. So those are like small headers that can be different. And there are options, like I said, there are options for specifying number of processes and number of threads per process. This is how the session data format looks like. So it has a version number, and this is the main transactions block. So we have request and response and UUID. So the transaction log, which is basically a list of all the transactions, and each transaction is identified by UUID. I am passing this UUID as an extra header field in the request header, so the microserver can identify the transaction ID and replay back the response. And then I have timestamp and other encoding. I'm currently not using the other fields right now, but I just kept it. It can be extended to do stuff. And also you can add body, like the message body that you can send after the request block. And then you have the timestamp that are also there. So all this can be collected from the wire trace log. Okay, about the data collection, so I'm using wiretrace that Eric wrote, um, and then I have a preprocessor which was also written by Eric.
I started it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not
Dan?
the same anymore.
I think Dan turned wrote most of that.
Yeah, Dan turned basically completely what I.
Oh, okay. Then I extended the preprocessor so that I can have IPv4, IPv6, and then also I try to combine the split package. So what happens is that the blocks can be split into the request blocks can be split across multiple trace blocks, which is a problem. And also we have like weird data, mostly body data in the preprocessor that kind of gets pulled into the session format, thus invalidating the session data. So I fixed that, and now, and of course, it can dump the session data into JSON format. Okay, about the microservers, so this is a multi-threaded program written in Python. This is basically an extension of base HTTP request handler, which basically does nothing. What it can do is it can parse request blocks, and if it can say whether the request is valid or not. So it can actually send code 400 if that's an invalid request. Other than that, you have to basically override everything, like the get methods and the post methods and everything. It doesn't even read the message body, or it cannot do chunked encoding. So I had to kind of do some monkey patching to do that. It can run in two modes. So the reason I have two modes is one is the test mode and another one is the replay mode. The main difference is in how I'm getting the UUID. So for the test mode, that is JSON running with this framework. We can easily look at the URLs and then get the UUID from there. And with the replay, I'm actually sending extra header field for the UUID. So that is the basic difference there.
So what you're trying to do is figure out which response to send?
Yeah. So, and I'm kind of keeping the session like sessions. I'm not hashing.
So for this to run, you're running this in a production system?
No, it's not in the production system.
No, but you mean to run it in a production system eventually? What's the use case?
No, so
Testing,
like
testing.
From prod and replaying it outside of prod.
Yeah, but for that to happen, what's the sampling of wire tracing do you expect to turn like to collect the sessions?
Sampling by.
How much percentage traffic? Very small traffic, just enough to get a decent.
Just a request with the credit card numbers.
Just to get a decent sample and throw it in ATS to test it.
Yes.
Okay.
So the
I
real,
like just the performance part of our build.
Yeah,
I guess
the
it
word
is-
trace is configurable. You can configure what percent.
Yeah, I know. I'm just asking what's the recommended
The
percentage.
default is 1 or 10%.
we're still playing with it. We don't really know. I mean, we're experimenting with it. I mean, the real thing here is we want to simulate on a non-operation system traffic that looks like an operational system, so we can get something that at least vaguely resembles actual real-life use, right?
Okay.
Higher sample means more data.
I'm wondering,
It really depends on your thing, right? Because if you get one request a year, sample 100%. If you get one request a nanosecond, then.
No, I'm wondering if there is, instead of relying on wire trace, if there is a different way of doing it so you get more sampling rather than, because wire trace obviously you have to limit
Yeah.
and do a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the tough part is when you're doing secure connections, right? You could do it if it's TCP dump and it's HTTP, but when it's secure.
Yeah.
That's why you have to do wire.
Yeah. So it's built into the core. So.
Essentially, if you don't do it on the box, do it
Mhm.
outside, you probably have more ability to do more. But on the box, you're limited by how much you can sample.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've gotten around that in terms of if we wanted to get a large enough amount of data by sampling at a very low rate for a long period.
Replay faster.
And then exactly, you speed up the replay. It's not to it isn't to put ATS back through an exact set of circumstances it went to. It's just to give ATS a realistic picture of traffic as part of a test.
I think the other thing is sampling connections, not requests. So it's also a little bit more realistic.
Yes, yeah, it's not
There's a bunch
sampling
of
requests.
related requests.
The sampling is turned on for the entire lifetime of the connection, so you'll have sampling for the entire session.
Okay.
And the supported methods are still get post and head here, meaning that I have overridden the replay for the get post and head requests. So this is what my future plan is. I'll show you a demo of what's the current state. The future plan, I have like finish H2. I had H2 working until I upgraded the Python version of Hyper. That kind of little things. So previously, what I was doing, like with the previous version of H2, I could talk to ATS directly over TLS and then send the request log there. But with the upgrade, I cannot do that anymore because my host field in my request log is different. So I have to somehow change the host field to be the exact same, to be ATS in order for that to work, which is, I don't think, ideal. And then I plan to add timing and delay option to the replay and microserver. So I have timestamp information from the wire trace, but those are the timestamp like when wire trace logged the request and response blocks. From that, I can kind of like intuitively I can add timing and delay option to the replay and microserver. And then I want to add wildcard capability in microserver, which will be helpful for testing basically, not much for the replay. Then also I want to have SSL support in the microserver. Currently, there is no SSL support in microserver, so ATS just talks over non-TLS connection with microserver. And then fix H2 in wiretrace. So what is happening is I'm not seeing any request and response data for H2 in the wiretrace. I'm guessing it has to do something with the formatting or because we haven't quite demuxed the streams at the point where the tapping is happening. Probably that's why I cannot see the H2 data, so I'll have to work on that. And then, of course, we will work on integrating with this to the TSQA. We do have a micro DNS, which is basically which takes a JSON format and then maps the domain name to several IPs, and just then that is how the resolver is working. So and then submit to the open source. That is the future plan.
Yeah, the timing delay thing, this is an answer to something James asked earlier. We were looking at Jason's test room. If you're asking about making delays and stuff that comes back when you send reply out. Oh, okay. So one of the things you want to do is with this JSON warning, you can say, well, these are responses I want, and I want them to occur at these, these delta times, so you can introduce delays to get more realistic.
Yeah.
When are you guys planning on open sourcing this?
When it works. I mean, this is still in very active development. I mean, Pruitt was working on this until she got on the airplane to come here. So it's mostly working. We would like her to clean some of this stuff up, but we would really like to open source it. I guess one thing is whether you guys think this would be useful, right? Would you like us to open source it?
Yeah, we talked about this the last time.
All right, well, then we will open source it.
I mean, I would be okay if we could just get like format.
You mean the JSON format?
Yeah.
I had a question about that. So why didn't you use the HTTP archive format for that?
Think of it.
Yeah. I'm quite familiar with the format.
Does that preserve like connection details?
No.
No.
The hard works okay. The issue is going to be I want to get into more complex replay mechanisms. Our files don't specify the timing offsets and things as well.
But
Or if you chunk some
take
code
the
into
har file and you can add.
right, it would be har plus.
Sure.
But have you
then
not
at least
explored
you can
using the access then you log could use a replay? har file, yes,
Sorry?
which would be cool.
Right, and then
access
you can
logs.
gather them out of Chrome.
Access logs.
Basically, it is access logs instead of wire trace or anything. I mean, obviously, you won't be able to do post, but
Okay.
why don't you just use the ATS access logs and you could replay much more?
The access log doesn't tell you very much about the request. It
Yeah, the
tells you
bodies
the
are
URL, and that's about it.
No, that's what I'm saying. You don't need to body, obviously you won't be able to.
But, no,
But
it's also,
we do
it's
need
also,
the headers.
it's also request headers.
You could turn on the header.
But you could just do that right now, just like go through your log, AL it, throw it through awk, XRs it in the curl or something, you're done. Have the replay complete.
Would be useful is to have a log format that would output in a kind of trace log that we can then suck up with this.
Well,
and
that
use.
was kind of what I was trying to get
Yeah.
at with the take access we done with the JSON media format. You
Okay.
can't actually log a lot of circles and stuff. You
Yeah.
should actually be
That'd be really useful.
I think they want more, just more,
I mean,
going to have, building function callback.
Yeah.
As for body coming back and, header stuff, so if you want the procedural generated thing. Likewise, the ability to have common body and header specified in external file. If you have large sets of data, if we have replicated data, we want to keep it in place. Sure, you want space.
I guess also to Jared's point, one of the original goal when we started this project was to have something that looked as much like actual production traffic as possible. So that included both the content request and the response body, so that they had nice varying sizes with demographics that looked like real traffic, right? Rather than guessing at that. We really wanted to say, because we have all these problems, we're trying to, again, this is all about testing and saying, we have these problems with production, is there any way we can make it like production before we actually put it in production?
Right, and
that's
and also
concept
bugs
here.
that we were
Yeah,
only
I
seeing
kind
in
of-
prod and nowhere else.
No, I kind of agree, but what I'm trying to get at is you could use the access logs and basically fake the body because all you need is the length of the body, right? And
So
just
access
whatever the header-
log has the headers.
You could log the headers you want, and same as the way you're turning on white trace, you could turn on the access log percentage to log all the headers that you need.
You also
Basically
need to
everything.
know.
I think what you're looking for is a generator plugin.
Sort of, yeah.
In production.
But you also need a response. Basically, the server part of it has end-to-end
No,
system.
but the
you
problem,
don't have that
what do you
anymore.
want the response to be? What do you want the response to be? The access log doesn't have a response.
It has the status and everything.
Yeah, I
It has
guess
the
you
status
want,
code,
you-
and it has
that's
the
all you need.
response body length. And that's it.
Yeah, but maybe
Yeah,
that's
that's all
what you
you
care
need.
about. You know, you can just generate random
Because
bytes.
Yeah, it's just
usually
take
the
the
plugins are
response
actually all the different headers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you can, especially if you're getting down to whether it was a chunk response or a zip response, and those sorts of details really matter.
And also, yeah, the size of each chunk and the timing that it was received and the connection, or like the correlation of requests across the same connection.
Because the thing is, like, what you're talking about is valuable, but like it's very low fidelity and super easy to make. You can throw it together with some piping.
No, the chunk response, I don't know if you can reliably replay even with the current model of wire tracing because all you're seeing is TCP frames. You're not really seeing HTTP chunks. They're anyway split at TCP.
You're saying
We are-
TCP frames, that's exactly need that you can replay. Because all you're doing is opening the TCP socket and writing things. You got the TCP frames.
No, chunk encoding is just the library, right? You just input the.
No, but what I'm saying is if your replay capture is just TCP frames, all you did was open a TCP socket, just write the same thing. You don't know what the encoding is, you don't care what the chunks are, you just write it at the same time.
That's what this is doing.
Uh,
That's what it's currently doing,
exactly
because
what
they don't support all the timing and the chunk stuff yet.
No, but I'm
No.
saying you could do everything, the same thing with access logs. You take it and mark it as chunk encoding and server can do the same thing.
You'd have to add a lot more fields, but yeah, I mean, in theory.
My point is, introducing wire trace is an additional, probably is not really making a huge difference. You could do everything with the logs. And it would nicely integrate with the access logs we have.
Well, and I think like, you might not use your regular access log, you could potentially make a different access log, which comes out all the fields you care about at the same time.
Exactly.
Which is effectively the same as your trade.
Yeah.
So realistically, because she has that
The only
JSON
system
intermediary, you can make whatever you want. You can put whatever you want there, and if you guys don't want to run wire trace, then you don't have to. But I think it's going to be useful to have the wire trace for most cases.
Could be, but yeah.
And also, yeah, I mean, it evolved kind of for testing, right?
Yeah.
Testing, we're not using.
I think it would be really cool to be able to kind of combine the generator plugin with this to be able to say, like, if you have huge files that you're pulling down from Origin or whatever, or getting out, like saving terabytes of logs would be hard, but you could like say I want to insert some, this many random bytes.
Yeah, this is what I'm doing actually.
Okay.
Yeah, because I cannot get the actual body from the wire trace, I'm looking at the content length field and then generating random body. And if I have chunked encoding, then I have this generator inside the microserver that generates back the responses. Yeah. Oh.
Is the wide trace the stuff that's in core?
Yeah, that is in the core. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe this is more a Susan question, but what was the reason that that was done in core, not as a plugin? Can you give me some history about that?
I can talk about that.
All right.
It's because I didn't want to have to restart traffic server or configure a plugin in order to debug some issue. I could approach a box that was running, exhibiting a problem, and just turn it on.
It was originally put in to debug SSL.
But okay, so I guess maybe a different solution to that would be to have it as a plugin that is only activated, but then it's activated dynamically.
Yeah, well, we can do that
So-
now, but we couldn't do it before.
No, you can always have done that.
Yeah, I guess you could have put external sockets in.
No,
No, you would have just had to know
you can
it
activate it
again.
using records, or you can activate it using metrics, for example. Or with plugin messages now. So there's at least 3 ways you could activate it.
By changing
A
the
concrete
record
record.
and having noticed the change in that value.
Yeah. With the update callback.
Was there's that.
So access log has TLS and non-TLS data.
I don't know if you
Yeah,
want
it's basically ASCII.
But that,
Okay.
I think there's
After the
very early data.
Okay.
That would be another way to generate the JSONs.
Okay. Yeah.
But
if
you
you're only doing HTTP,
I have to rewrite the
You have to log
process.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you get all of that.
yeah, you could add an additional log to our existing XML config on a couple boxes to do that, and you
Okay.
could generate enough logs,
Original.
write a new preprocessor, and get that preprocessor to generate the JSONs you need.
Okay.
The one thing I worry about, not worry about, but the one thing with that is you can definitely get all of the stuff that you need or that you anticipate you will need, but it requires a lot more anticipation.
Yeah, because you can't just turn on a new log file right now.
You can't just turn on a new log file, and you also have to configure a log file that is getting all of the important headers that you need and dropping all of the other ones. Like the thing about wire tracing is that it's everything. And so definitely trade-offs, but it would just be a slightly different processor, definitely, and work with a format.
Okay.
Really confused.
What is wildcard supporting?
So wildcard, probably Jason could talk more about it. So for the testing, if I have I have this in the JSON format, I have this request that microserver is seeing, and then looking at the URL, it could try several response URLs like response response objects. So it's like you put a star like something dash dash then slash slash then star. It will try to look at the matching response object and then replay that back. So that's why it had this.
It's like
Interpreting
I'm
for
amplifying here. It's like when you get when it gets to the requirement, like the response was trying to do the comparisons, right? Like example.
Oh, it doesn't care about some of it.
Right, it's like ATS version, for example. You could just like, ATS slash something. I don't care. Right. If you have that,
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. These are the requirements I have now. So the request library I'm using, currently I'm not doing a synchronous request. I tried that once with the session. The problem is that it keeps creating new ports, so it does not quite persist the session there. That I traced from the Wireshark. And I tried G-request session. It happened the same thing happened. The G-request session is also a pretty new thing. Somehow it is creating a new port instead of keeping the same port for the session replay.
Connection, right?
Yeah?
Like port meaning connection.
Yeah, connection. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you using the sessions stuff?
Yeah, request session stuff. Yeah. But if I don't stream, that actually, so there is this option where you can say if the streaming is true or false. So it does not try to decode the response, then it actually keeps the session. But if I try to decode the response, and then what it does is it creates a new connection for the next request, which is weird.
I guess
No. Yeah.
Because what I use requests a bunch.
Oh, you don't have session
I
property?
can't look at your code.
Well, Thomas will help me fix it then. Thanks, Thomas.
Yeah, remind him next year.
Right here.
But have you tried async of the requests?
Yeah, I've used
async.
G request works okay.
Yeah. The G request session works okay for you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay, then I'll take a look.
So do you also plan to look at support?
This hasn't come up on our radar.
Yeah.
If the wire trace dumps it into the thing, it's just more bytes to go across the socket, right?
No, but you have to build WebSocket messages. It's not just.
Oh, but I mean, if you're dumping the entire trace of body request response, right?
Yeah.
Then it will do that.
But you don't have a session concept. A different session.
Right. Well, what I'm getting at is like WebSocket starts as an HTTP request. There's some response which makes it drop to a WebSocket. If you are logging exactly what happened on the TCP stream and replaying exactly that, it should be the same thing.
Your client and server should handle this.
Yeah,
Should know the upgrade. Should understand upgrade and.
Sure.
Yeah, you definitely have to modify.
You have to change it. It's not seamless.
Okay, then. Okay, nice. Think I'll take a note of that. Okay, so I'll have a short demo. Yeah, just so that I don't get. Okay, broken pipe problem. So I'm using VPN to my machine and approve the connection. Just have to wait a bit.
You might want to put that on type much faster.
Okay, so I have the microserver running, and
Can you make your font size bigger?
okay, cool. I have the traffic server running too, and I have configured everything. So. All right, so. Okay, so I have multiple modes. So this is the type random, and when I say random, this basically means I'm doing non-TLS now, and uh, it plays all the sessions like back to back without any delay in the between. And I can specify the number of processes and number of threads per processes here. So I'll just show an example where I do like one process and 4 threads. So these are some. This is an old log, so which had some like invalid data, so it can actually validate that you have like correct data with correct hostname. So this took like about 15 seconds. Now if I increase the number of process here, Didn't take that much time. I have small problems because of the wiretrace, the way wiretrace logs the data. So sometimes I get like invalid header name there, which I'm also skipping. So like you can see, it saved some seconds. And I can also so I have like way to verify the header. Let's try a smaller test. So which basically means it passed, so it basically means that I'm just skipping some headers. Like I said, the server header and age header. And other than that, everything was same. So it passed. And then I have SSL. For that, I have to connect to 443. Yeah, so I also have SSL. I wish I had Wireshark or TCP dump running here, so you could see like the TLS data going on and coming. So like I said, I have H2 almost working until I had that accident with the upgrade, and yeah, so I'll add those features, and I would like to have some feedback and feature requests from all of you that I can add to my replay program. So I basically have the skeleton there. I need to just add features to this. And I'd also like to know if you want this thing in the open source.
Yeah, I think it's very valuable. The only thing I would hope is that this is something that we should be able to turn on and keep on all the time rather than turning it on for a few off, once in a while kind of thing. Which is why I was preferring not to use Wiretrace, which is mainly for debugging.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean for the capture?
Yeah, even the replay, I want it to be something that's on all the time.
Well, the replay tool requires, or in its current implementation, requires some sort of pre-processed input data. So what you would, are you suggesting that what you would like to see essentially is?
But you could be delayed and you could continuously be online.
Yeah, that could definitely, if you wrote some sort of preprocessor that could run on the box, or some sort of preprocessor that could run on the box on the access logs like we're thinking of. In that circumstance, it would definitely be preferable to be doing something lighter weight than wire tracing then. But in this particular circumstance where this is all happening offline on different hardware, we wanted to get everything.
But yeah, we have a wide range of uses from like simplistic test replays. Like I think some of those were just test replays.
Yeah.
Continuous and to debugging.
Yeah. Right.
If we are intelligent.
Right. Or some way to make the file export to another box and replay it there. That'll work too.
Right? Yeah.
Or right to a socket that goes on the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a log file, you can take it. If it's on the disk, you can take it. I guess the same.
Yeah, a background process could continuously keep looking at the log files and then, yeah.
My only concern is going to be size, right? Because lots of data getting collected really quick. So.
Not with log
files. But the log files can be
clipped. Log file, you already do it anyway. You're not doing anything
You're
more.
giving up on the bodies.
Sure, but yeah, and that's fine because we can pretty usually make that.
What do you mean when you say you're splitting it across multiple processes? Why would you do that? You're just reading out of one log file on the same local box, right?
Yeah, but I have like big session data, right? Okay. Large amount of session data.
So you're different sessions on different
right. Okay. So I'm breaking the session because they are independent sessions, right? Okay. So I'm just breaking the full queue into several queues and then feeding into the multiple processes.
And you're still doing multi-threaded though for each.
Yeah.
And part of the idea is that when we playback coming in, you want to make sure time is happening. If you serialize it, you don't have to do the same.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was just curious as to why processes instead of just getting the threads. But yeah, that makes sense.
Well, it's because I'll play feeds.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Thank you.